Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy. Thought I'd try something a little new here and do an audio version of one of my vehicle reviews because I know there are people out there who prefer audio and who may be able to listen to this while they're driving their car. So anyway, here goes and we'll see how it all goes. This is about the 2018 Dodge Durango SRT 392. I figured I would go ahead and do a review of a vehicle that actually has some genuine interest, probably both for you as well as for me. Anyway, here we go. Bacon makes everything better. So does SRT when it comes to cars like the Challenger and Charger, and now SUVs. What, after all, could be better than an almost 500 horsepower Durango that can take you and 5 friends to 60 in just over 4 seconds? That has the steering reflexes of a Porsche 911 but can also tow nearly 9,000 pounds. How about the new SRT 392 Durango? What it is. Take a Durango, Dodge's mid-sized SUV, and baconize it with a 6.4-liter 475 horsepower Hemi V8, the same one that powers the Challenger SRT 392. And that's the size in old-school cubic inches, plus a road-ripping all-wheel drive system which allows 4-wheel burnouts and which you can't get yet in the Challenger SRT, along with that extra room for your hooligan amigos and that hitch out back. That's the SRT 392 Durango, a very special version of Dodge's mid-sized SUV screwed together by the guys who work at SRT, that acronym standing for Street and Racing Technology. But really, this is about firepower, not technology. No turbos or overhead cams here. Just a huge V8 belting out huge horsepower, like napalm back in Nam. It's a time trip back to the good old days for however long they can get away with it today. Base price is $64,090, which isn't cheap and will limit how many hooligans can get their hands on this one. Of course, speed has always been a question of money. How fast do you want to go? What's new? The SRT 392 is new for 2018. All Durangos, not just the SRT, now come standard with an LCD touchscreen and Chrysler's excellent Uconnect interface. But the SRT Durango gets a larger 8.4-inch display and uniquely gets the Performance Pages apps, same as the Challenger Charger SRT, with selectable real-time horsepower torque outputs, G-force lap timer, and a plethora of additional digital gauges. What's good? The audacity of it, the practicality of it, the discretion of it. What's not so good? The price of it, the appetite of it, the temptation of it. Under the hood, regular Durangos come with V6s standard, and you can upgrade to a 5.7-liter V8. Nothing much to see here, move along. Then there's this thing. It comes standard with a 6.4-liter V8 muscled up to 475 horsepower and 470 foot-pounds of torque. Historical perspective is in order. The 392 Hemi is stronger than the ultimate Hemi, the legendary 426 Hemi used in classic supercars such as the shovel-nosed Daytona Superbird Richard Petty toured Talladega in at 200 miles an hour. It made 425 horsepower, gross, using the old way of measuring horsepower, engine on a stand, headers, and no muffler, cheater tuned. The SAE gross rating was always optimistic, usually by about 20%. Using today's way of rating the horses, SAE net, engine in the car with all accessories and a production exhaust with mufflers, the 426 Hemi in a 70 Superbird would clock in around 345 horsepower, while the Durango's 392 would have carried a 565 horsepower rating had it been available back in the 70s. So the good old days weren't always good, and tomorrow's not as bad as it seems. Another angle that helps get a handle on just how good we've got it now versus then is to consider the acceleration stats of that 70 Hemi Daytona, which didn't have 3 rows of seats and couldn't pull 8,600 pounds, which the SRT Durango can. A 70 Hemi Superbird took a bit less than 6 seconds to get to 60. It ran the quarter mile in the high 13s. The Durango gets to 62 seconds sooner and through the quarter mile in the high 12-second range, and it weighs 5,500 pounds. A 70 Daytona Superbird weighed about 3,800 pounds. That's some impressive math. If anything, the Durango's V8 is underrated. Put that 392 in a 70s Superbird, lighter by 1,700 pounds, or the equivalent of a 70s Super Beetle, plus its driver hitched to the bumper of the Superbird, and you'd have a ride fast enough to scare even Richard Petty. This is why the 392 is paired with an all-wheel drive system. Even with the traction advantage of modern wheels and tires versus the absurd 15-inch rolling stock that was fitted to the 70 Daytona, smaller wheels than come standard on a new Nissan Versa, the power is simply overwhelming. The all-wheel drive system nails it down, puts it to productive use, and keeps you pointed in the right direction while also letting you smoke the tires, which is essential to this experience. Engage the launch control and it's tally-ho. This is one area of direct equivalence between the SRT Durango and a 70 Hemi Daytona. They each drain the tank almost as quickly as a Saturn V rocket burns through its stock of liquid oxygen and kerosene when the 5 F1 engines are lit. EPA says 13 city, 19 highway is possible, but single digits are the reality when you light this rocket's fire. On the road, do the $20 bill test. Put a 20 on the dashboard and tell your passenger it's theirs if they can grab it, then floor it. Your 20 is very safe, and so are people in the opposite lane of traffic. Unlike hyper-powered rear-wheel drive machinery, which has a tendency to get sideways very easily, the Durango is almost fail-safed by its all-wheel drive system, which meters the 392 Hemi's power through 4 contact patches rather than just 2. Some slip is allowed, enough to enhance the fun without spoiling the ride by putting you in peril of bending the metal. In addition to the launch control button, as in the rear-wheel drive Challenger and the Charger SRTs, there is also a whole slew of individually configurable throttle, shift point, firmness, and a seemingly endless array of other settings. But really the only control you need is the one underneath your right foot. Point and shoot. You'll also need the brake. Not because you want to necessarily, it's just an annoying necessity when you glance at the gauges and notice you're doing 90 and you're not on the high bank of Daytona. Richard Petty didn't have to worry about reckless driving tickets for doing what comes naturally in a machine like this. We do. Happily, the SRT has brakes to go with what's under the 3 scooped hoods. These are really hot air bleeds. The 392 Hemi is injected, and so the center scoop isn't connected to a pair of Carter AFBs, sadly. 4 huge and red powder-coated Brembo brakes at all 4 corners slow this mechanical megalodon down as quickly as the Hemi hurls it forward. This is another point of departure versus the classic era muscle. It's not all engine. It is balanced. This includes in the curves. Probably, no certainly, the Durango, all 5,500 pounds, and despite sitting several inches higher off the ground, has more lateral grip than Petty's Daytona. A curve posted 35 mph taken at 60 and a 70 would be taken sideways, the tail wagging the dog. The Durango takes the same curve at the same speed with one hand on the wheel, the G-meter egging you on to go faster. The SRT-tuned steering is immediately and precisely reactive. You can dial in micro changes to shift the Durango's course exactly along the desired line from which it does not deviate. This is amazing given what it is, or rather what the SRT guys started out with. A big SUV whose designers never had this in mind, but which cuts the rug like a sports car. It is uncanny, defies logic, like a 10 girlfriend who is also nice and doesn't empty your bank account while cheating on you with your best friend. Meanwhile, this is still a big SUV. It's no longer a body-on-frame SUV. The current model shares its unibody underthings with the current Jeep Grand Cherokee. But it is big and heavy, and this is an advantage insofar as ride quality. The things it's capable of in the curves notwithstanding, the SRT Durango still has that Barcalounger feel of a big SUV. Potholes and ruts are seen but rarely felt. It doesn't bottom out when you hit a dip in the road, and you don't need to inch carefully forward when entering or exiting driveways or other such that are the bane of a low-riding sports car. This is a practical hell ride. It hauls the groceries and people as effectively as it hauls the proverbial mail, and it does so in almost any weather. All-wheel drive, so it's viable in the snow, which rear-drive performance cars are not, and you can take it on a gravel road without slowing down or out in the field, things only a deliberately cruel and car-hating fool would attempt in a Challenger or Charger. This includes cops driving Chargers. That eight-wheel drive system and the ground clearance could be your get-out-of-jail-free card one fine day. Now, I didn't say that, and pretend you didn't read it. And there is stealth to consider. At the curb, if you were doing, say, 62 miles an hour in a bright blue Challenger on a divided highway with a posted speed limit of 55 miles per hour and a cop appears in the other lane coming toward you, that cop is going to draw a bead on you, first with his eyes and then with his radar. The odds of your being pulled over and extended no quarter are high. They are less in the SR392 because at a glance it looks like a Durango, which is, after all, just another SUV. These tend to pass unnoticed, or at least untaught a lesson. On the other hand, everyone knows what a bright blue Challenger RT with white hockey stick billboard stripes is for. It's not bought to drive the speed limit. Cops know this. But the Durango, it's a cloaking device. And even if you are noticed, it's easier to disappear, figuratively and literally. The Durango blends in. Except for the red powder-coated brake calipers, 392 badges on each front fender, and a mostly subtle SRT hood with pressed-in air bleeds on either side of that central low-profile air scoop, the SRT 392 looks like a Durango. The goods are, for the most part, discreetly tucked out of sight. The main giveaway is the sound. Push the starter button and a healthy, almost cat-free blat, 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 blat pulses from each of the SRT 392's large exhaust tips. It will alert everyone in the vicinity that something is up. And if you stomp the gas leaving your driveway, everyone within a mile or so will be looking skyward, waiting for the F-18 to blast past. Not an exaggeration. The SRT-ized exhaust has baffles that work like a turbocharger's wastegate, popping full open on full throttle Q, a shockwave produced at each vertebrae adjusting, forget that 20 on the dashboard, gear change. It's wicked and wonderful, but it's also just like a Klingon bird of prey losing its cloaking device with Enterprise right there, phasers locked. You could, of course, just drive along with the pack, hard given what you've got, but also easy because of the SRT's crushed suede cabin, ultra-comfortable seats, superb Beats audio rig, and individual LCD flat-screen monitors for the backseaters to watch a show when you are done giving them one. Plus everything that's optional in the lesser Durangos, including heated and cooled seats, and the entertaining as well as functional Performance Pages apps piped through the 8.4-inch Uconnect LCD touchscreen. Also, it's not big, not too big. 201.2 inches end to end, which, to scale reference it for you, is nearly a foot shorter overall than a current Ford Expedition and about as long overall as a full-size minivan like a Toyota Sienna or Honda Odyssey. But the metric that matters even more is width. The Durango doesn't feel as though it ought to have a flag car running point, like you see when they move an oversized object such as a modular home down the road on the back of a flatbed. Some of the latest full-size SUV stuff does feel that way because of the width and the track. The wheels are pushed out even farther, which enhances that big car ride but also takes up much of the road space meant for normal stance cars. The Durango is about 4 inches narrower through the midline than an Expedition or similar full-size 3-row SUV, 75.8 inches versus 79.9 inches in this example. It rips but does not hog the road, and yet still has 3 rows and plenty of room for a full crew of amigos plus their stuff. And what won't fit can be pulled. Remember that 8,600-pound max tow rating. A Challenger SRT can hitch a ride. The rest. The one thing the SRT boys neglected was a larger tank. The baconized Durango has the same 24.6-gallon fuel cell as the V6 Durango, which is plenty when you're averaging low double digits, as the V6 Durango is perfectly capable of averaging. But the SRT Durango is fully capable of transforming those 24.6 gallons into water vapor and CO2 in less than 200 miles. On the upside, the gas fill is now capless. Just pop the fuel door and insert. You'll be on your way sooner and with less mess. The center console has almost no storage space, especially with the Beats system in the CD slot, which is put inside there and so takes up most of what little space is there. There's just enough room to tuck a small frame pistol or maybe a cell phone. But you do have all that additional space elsewhere. Remember, this is a 3-row SUV, and unless it is packed with your crew, there is always room for almost anything. A perk that comes with the purchase of SRT vehicles is a day of hot shoe instruction at the SRT Track Experience Driving School. This will make you fully aware of the capabilities you just bought and, more important, give you the skills to make proper use of them. Did I mention they also paint the 392 Hemi the same cheerful orange as the 70 Hemi? The bottom line, this one's expensive certainly, but some things are priceless. Got a question about cars or anything else? There's a button on EP Autos called Ask Eric. Just click on that link and send them in, and I will try and get to them as soon as I possibly can. If you've enjoyed this and if you like what you found on the site, please consider supporting EP Autos. We depend on you to keep the wheels turning. We have a button on the main page that you can click on for that. And if you prefer not to use PayPal, the mailing address is EP Autos, 721 Hummingbird Lane Southeast in Copper Hill, Virginia, 24079. And EP Autos magnets are free to those who send in $20 or more. Also, my latest ebook, Don't Get Taken for a Ride, is available for your favorite price, free on the website. All you have to do is click on the link. It's on the right side of the page. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch up with you again soon.